Boruto is a series that has fallen under a massive amount of scrutiny, criticism, and has had every single frame, every single detail dissected for any problem to be ridiculed. Bad animation, bad art, lazy storytelling, every single detail has been analyzed not to enjoy the series more, but to simply get the next viral tweet, the top comment, or simply because the series somehow deserves it. But how do we get to this point? How do we get from being excited for the next chapter, the next movie, to then even the fanbase themselves begging Studio Pierot to do a total rehaul of the series? And this all really comes down to Boruto's image, not only as a series, but also as a successor to one of the most successful manga in history. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through Boruto not only as a piece of media, but also how that piece of media got to the position it is in now. Through horrible brand imagery, downward comparisons when it already had such insane expectations to me, and overall how the series was doomed to fail the moment the anime started. But first we have to talk about from the beginning, Boruto wasn't guaranteed to fail, but definitely guaranteed to be underwhelming. With such a heavy link to Naruto, the 6th top-selling manga of all time, the series already started with an incredibly heavy burden. Even the moment the series was announced for an anime adaptation, it was disregarded as milking and a money grab, partially because the adaptation started when there was only 2 volumes out, and partially because many, including myself, thought the story of Naruto should have ended with Naruto. And the thing is, Boruto as a series wasn't aiming to make a new innovative series, but it's really just a series taking advantage of what Kishimoto built. The target audience is the already established Naruto fans. The setting is the already established setting in Naruto, and even the title of the series, Boruto Naruto Next Generations, doesn't purely focus on this series, on this new cast of characters, on these new antagonists. The people behind the series for some reason still felt that it was a necessity to use the last protagonist as a part of the title, which is very telling to why this series was made in the first place. Was it made for innovation? No. Was it made because the script just looked that good? No. The intent behind the series is very clear looking back, but what about the piece of media that came from it? What about Boruto is a story that takes place 10 years in the future after the 4th Great Ninja War, with the protagonist the self-proclaimed brat Boruto. Now, the first 10 chapters are particularly weak, not because the narrative itself is weak, but purely because it's too dependent on Naruto the character and Naruto the series, which even the story itself calls out. The main antagonist in these 10 chapters is deeply linked to Kaguya. The reason for Boruto's anger towards Naruto is because of the dream he fulfilled and what comes with that dream, and the overall message is Shinobi haven't changed from the past, while also referring to young Naruto and how they were back then. Disregarding these 10 chapters, I still believe this series has a ton of interesting storylines and narratives throughout. Just to name a few, where kata came from, karma and how it works, how far scientific ninja tools have gone, especially when taking kawaki into account, how vessels works, what are they, and most importantly, the first few pages of the series and how we get there. Regardless of the series having somewhat lackluster art and the characters not being given enough time to develop as the series constantly jumps from one thing to the next, this series undeniably has narratives that are able to keep the reader hooked. Is it fantastic? Not in any way. But is it horrible? Not at all. I generally believe that if this series was to be released as a standalone project in a world where Naruto didn't exist, I think everybody would agree that it's just alright. Boruto undeniably manages to keep this sense of tension that keeps people's attention, but it doesn't do anything outstanding that makes me think that the series is fantastic or revolutionary. So yes, it's just alright, but it really is fantastic when you compare it to the anime is a lazy excuse of an adaptation, filler episodes, filler characters. It's even to the point that most of the canon episodes are anime canon, which isn't canon at all. It's just episodes approved by the author of the series to turn into canon, technically. And realistically, even if the fanbase behind the series hates to hear it, this is a slice of life. The anime focuses much more on the development of Boruto and his class do slice of life like shenanigans, rather than the development of Boruto and his team to push the plot forward. And it honestly is the fault of the studio behind the series. They wanted to use a weekly format used for Naruto for Boruto, but that won't work in any way. Naruto was a weekly manga which guaranteed at least a week of content for animes to work with, but Boruto is monthly, making it borderline impossible to even consider making a well-paced series that pushes the plot forward. I believe Studio Pierrot tried forcing Boruto into an insanely dated format that hasn't and will not work in the modern day, and that's why we see all the hate from people that don't even bother with the manga. Yes, once in a while we see these beautifully animated fight scenes. Yes, once in a while the small details within the series leaves you shocked. But acting as if this is a true testament to Boruto's potential, not only as a story but as a series, is ignorant. It's ignorant to gas this series up that was forced into a format it wasn't supposed to be. And the fact that there's people defending this atrocity of an adaptation is ridiculous. It makes me question how delusional these people truly are. And again, the only reason it was forced into this outdated format is because of its heavy link to Naruto, and that's what truly affected The public opinion, which many would think doesn't matter, was the final nail in the coffin to truly put the series in the position it is in now. Boruto is widely regarded as trash, boring, terrible, and that's mainly why no one is willing to watch or read the series. Because the overall statement behind this series is, it's a waste of your time. Regardless of what pages or panels people see, regardless of how well animated one scene just so happens to be, the initial perception is already there, and that's where the brand imagery of this series truly died. No one is willing to talk about this series in a positive light because realistically it'll fall on deaf ears. So we talked about the manga, how it's a pretty underrated piece of media with interesting narratives and decent storytelling in comparison to the anime. We talked about the anime, that is the main reason people won't even try Boruto because of the format it was forced into, causing the overall quality of the story being diminished. And we talked about the public opinion that was the final straw to Boruto's brand imagery and the final straw that made everybody give up on the series. So what is... With the ending of part 1 of the anime, I feel like this is a perfect chance to go back to the drawing board. So first off, the current format of the anime is clearly not working. Regardless of personal opinions, bias, this format just doesn't work. This series shouldn't be in the position it is in now, especially when considering that the initial fanbase was built on the back of Naruto. And again, it's one of the most popular series in manga history. So Boruto should be seasonal, and the studio behind the series is fully capable of that since they also made Bleach 1000 Year Blood War. And secondly, the anime canon shouldn't exist. But for the sake of the people that do enjoy those episodes, make OVAs exploring the stuff that classmates do. Now personally this won't do much for me, but having a clear distinction between anime canon and manga canon will do wonders, especially when it comes to the marketing aspect. And obviously Boruto has a bunch of writing inconsistencies, but I'm not going to comment on that since I don't know where the story is going, and also most importantly I don't know what the script looks like. To cap this video off, this video isn't a hate video, but it isn't a praise video either. It's simply a video pointing out the flaws and strengths in everything involving Boruto and giving a fix to how it can be redone. Boruto isn't a perfect series, hell it's even far from it. But in the same light, Boruto isn't horrible at all. At least it isn't as bad as people paint it out to be. And it's generally saddening how badly this piece of media is being treated. There's only so many examples I can come up with when it comes to media being treated this badly, but the main one that comes to mind is X-Arm. And I've constantly talked about this series because it isn't that bad, at least not the way Crunchyroll decided to treat it. So honestly, I hope the studio behind the series takes in the feedback that everybody's been talking about, actually puts an effort into improving the anime, and hopefully Boruto isn't just another series that was cursed by its own identity.